I'm Hephzibah of 2011 batch, and I want to meditate on Hebrews 12 verse 1 to 3 today with you. Hebrews 12, I'm reading from the NIV version. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. As I'm recording this, as of now, I have an almost 10-month-old daughter, and as much as it has been wonderful to have a baby and watch her grow and little things that she learns. Like recently she learned how to clap all by herself. It's such a joy. But the last couple of months have been really difficult, have been hard on me physically, mentally, emotionally, being there for her constantly, not being able to have a time for myself. Constantly worrying about the baby's awake, I have to do something, I have to do all of that. But as much as this is hard, and it is hard, I've been thinking, I remember that I wanted this child for one, and I remember that my child, this daughter, is not going to require me as much a couple years down the line. She's not going to require this much attention from me, constantly looking after her. And even a couple more years after that, she's going to become a teenager, she's going to grow up, be an adult. And I'm thinking of what a joy that would be. A daughter, growing up in the Lord, learning what God has called her to be, living in what God has called her to be, loving people, enjoying the gifts God has given her, enjoying the world that God has given her. And it is a joy for me. So as much as it is difficult for me right now, it really is. But I remind myself, this difficulty is so that I have, I can raise a good child, a child with good values, godly values. And that child is going to bring me joy. Just being loved by the child, me loving the child in itself is going to be a joy. So I want to ask you to focus on this sentence, two sentences. From verse 2, the second part. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross. 1. And the second sentence that I want you to focus on is, consider him who, the third verse, consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Now today I want to encourage you in whatever God has asked you to endure in this season. And remember, it is the season. It is a season. Just like for me, it is a season of having to constantly be available for my child. It is a season for you, whatever you've been asked to endure. And I want you, and I'm encouraging you, requesting you to think, what is that joy? What is that joy that is before you? Remember that joy. It might look impossible. For all I know, where your situation is, it might look impossible. It might look like it will take too long. But I want you to remember that joy. Endure the cross, endure your cross, endure just like Jesus endured his cross. Endure it, and not in a grumbling. Yes, the sacrifice hurts. Yes, it's painful every single day, but endure it with Christ. Remember that Christ endured. He completely understands what it is to endure your cross. And remember the joy. Remember the joy. Is it a marriage that you're having to endure? Is it a child that you're parenting, a difficult child that you have to endure? Is it a job? Is it a calling that God has called you to, but it is so difficult? It's so difficult that you have to endure, but God has called you to that job. Whatever it is, I want you to think about the joy. How wonderful it would be to have a marriage with complete transparency, and where you're loved fully. Know that you are loved fully. How wonderful it would be to have a child whom you are so proud of, so love. You love that child and so proud of that child. How wonderful it would be to go in front of God someday and say, I have done, God, what you have asked me to do. And to hear God say, well done, my good and faithful servant. How wonderful it will be for that. In those moments, I want you to remember that joy as you're enduring today, as you're enduring whatever hardship it is. Remember that joy. Remember that joy. Remember Jesus. Remember Jesus. And don't grow weary. Don't grow weary. Yes, it's hard. Don't grow weary. Just keep looking at Jesus and just keep remembering your joy. Goodbye.